it's extremely difficult when you're in the trenches to see how much ground you've gained. But quite frankly, every so often you get to realize how far we've come. And we have gone from a place where the first meeting with the Police Federation was like a battlefield. I mean, we were sitting on one side of the table and they were sitting on the other, and it was like tension that you could cut with a large machete was in the middle of the room. And it was horrible, to the point where now the head of the Police Federation calls and says, Carolyn, we have a group of recruits. They need to be trained, to be checked on their human rights thing, in-service training. When can you come? Okay, sure. And that's actually what we're doing now. A lot of what we're doing is educational activities with police recruits, and with young people in schools. The first time we started to do that program, Kimberly turned up and gave us a database of all the schools and the guidance counselors, and it took a long time to get people to invite us to come and talk to their young people about human rights. Now, we send out the letters and we have more work than we can deal with, getting invitations to go into schools and talk to young people. So yes, we are not in a steady decline. No journey ever is always downhill. Mm-hmm. And so we have up and down, up and down, up and down. I think we have come a long way. Clearly, given the numbers last year, we haven't come far enough.
And the final question for tonight. The stories you highlighted were all of deaths of young men. Has there been equal amounts of death among young women? Does Jamaican for Justice also work on raising awareness of sexual assault and gender-based violence?
In terms of the distribution, when you look at the demographics of the deaths in Jamaica, by far the majority of people killed generally are men. People killed by the police are almost entirely young men between the ages of 16 and 24, particularly from inner city communities and usually black. So that's the most at-risk group for death at the hands of the security forces. We do have, however, a number of cases of young women who have been killed, notably Janice Allen, a 13-year-old girl who was in her community going with her sister to buy dinner at one of the cook shops, and she was shot and killed by the police. Was it the case in St. Thomas?
Tian Wolf,
yes.
And Renee, the 5-year-old, Renee Lyons. 5-year-old?
10.
Renee?
Renee was 10, okay. Yes. She was standing at her gate in her community. The police were chasing a man for a spliff, a ganja spliff, and he was fleeing, and they fired after him and ended up shooting and killing this 10-year-old child, this girl. But by far the majority of cases that we deal with are of young men.
That's not to say the police aren't equal opportunity abusers. I mean, Janice's mom and sister, her sister witnessed her death. Mm-hmm. And her mom stood up very valiantly, Miss Millicent, in the fight to get justice for Janice. And both of them were threatened by police. The senior superintendent, in charge of the area, looked at them one day and said, all are on for dead. Right? And Miss Millicent faced down bribes from the police, faced down an offer of bribe from the Don, and then these intimidation, these threats, and her son being scraped up and taken away by the police, taken away for a day and a half, 2 days, couldn't find him, and then just dropped back casually after we sent a lawyer to inquire about him. And she faced down a lot of intimidation. So there is equal opportunity. They're not averse to intimidating the women who stand up.
No. In terms of our work, we don't, in fact, do a lot of specific work on gender-based violence, primarily because there are strong women's organizations in Jamaica which do a lot of work in that that area. And what we have found over the years is that rather than duplicate the efforts of other organizations, we collaborate with them when there is a particular issue or project that they are working on or we are working on that can enhance the work of both organizations. And if we get particular cases coming to us that we don't handle, we would refer to the appropriate organization that would do that work.
And we've had a couple of cases recently. One of a woman who, it's alleged the boyfriend is in court charged for having flung her out of a window. And the family came to us because they were concerned that he was from an influential family and therefore they would be able to taint the process. So we are watching that case. We have an attorney in court watching the proceedings. And then there was also another case recently where the police raped and sexually assaulted a woman. They found her in the car with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend was a married pastor. So in an attempt to intimidate them, they said they wouldn't lock them up, but the woman had to make herself available to the policeman. So we are watching that case in court. She reported it afterwards. The cases come, we take them, but the majority of the work on gender-based violence is done by the strong women's groups in Jamaica.
All right, with that, we want to say thank you to Dr. Gomes and Mrs. Goffe for a wonderful conversation. And also, thank you to you for coming out and joining in the conversation as well. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you.